Alright. Hello, everyone. This is Sakura the Diesel here. So, welcome to my very first live stream on this main channel and such. This is something that was kind of unexpected, honestly, and such. But this is something that Toy Bonnie and I, and we have two guests around here. This is something we all agreed on, and we wanted to try this new format of reviews and see how everything goes around here. So, if everything does well, and you guys like this type of live stream, we'll see if we can do it like once a month or such. But basically, yeah, I have Toy Bonnie here with me.
All right, hi everybody. I'm the one that originally was. Me and Sikoa were the ones that had this idea, and the artwork you're gonna see in this video, I did it all myself.
Yes.
So yeah.
And just to keep in mind, Toy Barney is also going to keep an eye on the chat, so I won't know what you guys are saying, but Toy Barney will, so you all better play nice over there. Anyway,
Yes.
we also have...
Everyone's okay.
have two...
Everyone's doing okay. Everyone's doing okay.
Yep. And we also have two special guests here with me. These were the ones that actually made this live stream possible. So first off, let's welcome. Well, actually, you guys can welcome. You guys can introduce yourselves one at a time. So introduce yourselves, special guests.
Hello, everyone. I am Carter, aka Thomas, the #1 E2 tank engine. Yeah, I was one of the ones that made this live stream possible. I hope you enjoy it.
And we also got another special guest. Say hi to the other special guests.
Yo, this is James Fan, the Red Engine here.
Alrighty. So yeah, Toy Barney, you want to explain a little bit on why we're doing this type of live stream, or better yet, why you and me are talking about Season 1 again, even though we both already talked about Season 1 before?
Alright, so the reason is very simple. For the ones that are familiar with me on my channel, that Toy Bunny guy, I did a review of Season 1 all the way back in 2018. And that was the only review I did that was not scripted. And I wasn't pretty happy with it. And a lot of my opinions towards Season 1 have changed over the years, and I felt that doing this kind of series will be a perfect way to like reflect on what I like and don't like about Season 1, for example. And yeah, that's all I have to say. You want to say something, Sekoa?
Basically, alright, so basically, for my end, you guys know that I've been doing these Thomas reviews, like I said, well over 6 years, which, to be honest, doesn't even felt like 6 years. It felt like it was just yesterday, honestly.
Indeed,
so it's really impressive that I've done this for this long already, but... Yeah, but basically, to be honest, I also wanted to try to do some kind of redo with, like, Seasons 1 and 2, basically just for more, like, you know, for better camera and editing and such, but at the same time, I was just like, you know, I really don't have that much, different opinions on these episodes than I did when I first reviewed them, so I honestly didn't see any point and such. And then when we were, when Toy Bonnie and I were doing, our Season 7 review, Carter over here actually, asked that, like, you know, if he could be a part of a Thomas review with us. And basically, basically he did ask us first and everything, and James also asked if he wanted to do a Thomas review with us. And basically, we just said that, like, all right, well, we don't want. Well, first, Toy Barney and I, well, how's it gonna work out if we were to do like every episode review of like Thomas and such? Because we didn't want it to make it too messy or anything like that. So we figured, you know what? How about we try doing a live stream podcast of a review and such? Because I have seen some people do this before and everything, and I figured this will probably be the best way to do the retrospective.
Unlucky Talk is one of those that has done this before when he came back on YouTube after being away for a very long time.
Yeah. So, but basically, yes. So we're here right now. We're gonna try, this is basically almost like a test stream as well, too, so if you guys like this type of, retrospective, let us know down in the chat and such. If you want to see this again, you know, if you want to see this again with other future seasons 2 to 7, let us know. We'll probably do these maybe, like, once a month or so, just depending on how well this does and how much we all like this,
and how much I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm gonna start off by saying that I did not have a good time sitting through Season 1. That's all I'm gonna say.
I see. also be honest too. I have seen all of season one, but mostly the UK narrations. I did not have enough time to see all of George Carlin narrations of season one. But I still got a pretty good idea of what I want to say about both Ringo and George for this season. But basically, but yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we cross that bridge, and so it's basically what I'm saying and everything. So yeah, I think that's basically all we want to say. Carter, James, is there anything you two want to add, or should we get this review started?
Yeah, you guys want to say something?
As I like to say, this is originally my first time seeing Thomas and Friends series one. I haven't eventually didn't even get a chance to see the first season or the second season, that was originally way before I was born back then. I was eventually born around here in the mid '80s, but it's been for a while since I eventually seen those series one episodes for the first time ever. When I have eventually gotten the re-released DVD version of Thomas Gets Tricked on DVD.
Oh no! Don't remind me of that stupid re-release. I was fooled by that stupid cover with Thomas with the jet engine, and then it wasn't what it was on the cover. It was season one.
Yeah.
That really pissed me off. That really fucking pissed me off.
To put like a Thomas jet engine boxcar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really pissed me off. That really did.
But I respect your opinion if you don't like the poster art, though. But I liked it with the surprise Thomas face on there.
Alright, so anything you want to add, Carter, before we get started?
Yeah.
No, I say I just get this show on the road.
Alrighty, well, before we get the show on the road, Carter, James, most of the people already know how Toy Bonnie and I got into Thomas and such. But basically, Carter and James, do you guys want to explain on how you two got into Thomas?
Oh.
I don't remember how I got into Thomas, honestly. It was a long time since I first watched or heard of Thomas.
Well, alright, well, basically, what was, do you at least remember what season you started on with Thomas or something, or at least your first episode or something?
Yeah, anything.
I don't remember, but I think I started off with series 16, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Again, I don't exactly remember, but I think it was series 16.
I see.
Not bad. You were born. You started around the time the Renaissance era began.
Yeah,
so that's
with
good.
With season 17 and 21 and all that.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Alright.
All right. So all right. So I want to go next because there's gonna be some people that don't know. I started around the time that if I'm correct, I started around the time season 9 was starting to air, 2005. My mom got me this little Thomas take along toy, and she discovered that there was a TV show based on the toy, and she bought a couple DVDs for me, and ever since then I've been a fan ever since. And unfortunately I've been through the show through the whole entire bad era, from the Miller era to the Guava era, and I threw the white flag at the end of the Guava era. I couldn't handle it anymore.
I see.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. Well, James, do you wanna tell the viewers how you got into Thomas and such? What was your introduction?
Well, I got into Thomas is because this is my very first time seeing Series 6 back in 2002. My first VHS and DVD release has to be Salty Secret on DVD.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a very good one.
And also I got my first Thomas and Friends CD album release called Thomas's Songs and Roundhouse Rhymes, and also Train Yard Tracks as well.
Oh!
And it has all the cool songs by Michael Donald and Junior Campbell.
Nice.
The gods of children's music, in other words. Let's say that.
Yes.
My favorite songs has to be like Thomas's Anthem, Let's Have a Race, Gone Fishing, Toby, Don't You Judge a Book by Its Cover, the Allen song, Really Useful Engines, Come for the Ride, Donald's Duck, So Topham Hat, and Night Train, and all the other songs. And especially the two songs that I didn't even heard before when I was little are That's What Friends Are For and Rules and Regulations.
Yeah.
That's what Friends Are For is my all-time favorite Thomas song of all. I mean, that's what Friends Are For is my all-time favorite Thomas song. So the people know.
But Michael Downey Jr. Campbell was supposed to be eventually like making a music video of it, but they didn't even have a no plans and no scenes or director's cuts for the video, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But wait, there's more. Even also, it's heard on the audio from Thomas and the Best Kept Dress Station cassette tape on CD, narrated by Michael Angelis, the storyteller.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, that's the cassette, but that's around the time of season 3. So we'll talk about that when we get to season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think there's anything else to say. So why don't we get started with season 1?
Alrighty.
Wow.
Well, basically, as any typical fashion with Thomas reviews and such. Toy Marnie, you want to give a little brief history on how the show and season 1 came to be about?
All right, so before we talk about season 1, we have to go back to 1979. All right, so the Reverend W. Audrey, we all know is the creator of Thomas, was visiting the Bluebell Railway because they were doing a documentary for steam locomotives, and that's where he met Brett Allcroft, who was soon to be the creator of the show. And Brett Allcroft read the books for research purposes, and she was like amazed by the illustrations of the books. And she told the Reverend W. Audrey, like, "Hey, I can make a TV show based on the illustrations." And the Reverend Audrey was gonna let her try, but he was a little bit hesitant because, for the ones that don't know, this was not the first time that the television show was tried to put into television, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There were previous attempts to put the show on television in 1953, but we all know the story. Henry derailed, and there was a large hand that picked it up and put it back on the set. And it was such an embarrassment that they had to cancel the television adaptation. Then Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber, Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber, he tried to make another TV adaptation, but this time as a musical series, and unfortunately that one got abandoned. And this was the third attempt, and this third attempt would eventually succeed. And what happened was that Brett Allcroft got David Mitton to do the directing for the show, and they decided the show was going to be live-action model animation, which basically, as Angus Wright, Brett's ex-husband, said, you basically play trains and film it. So they started the production of season 1 in 1983, I believe March '83, and they finished. No, my bad. I think it was October of 1983, and they finished in March of 1984. And the series was broadcasted on ITV on October 9th, 1984. And that's how season 1 came to be.
Did you get all that? Okay. Alrighty.
Good job, Bonnie.
Alrighty. Well, since we got the history out of the way, let's start with at least an overview of season 1. So, whoever wants to go first, was there anything in season 1 that any of you found interesting that maybe you didn't know before, or was there anything from the season that you liked overall and such? Who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead, Barney.
All right, so nothing. I looking back at season 1 nowadays, nothing has changed since my first impressions. The first time I saw it, I was like, "Hey, oh look, it's the original stories that got Thomas into television." But looking back at them nowadays, I kind of find them a little bit boring, because compared to the rest of the seasons, because they have more and darker stories. Season 1 was kind of like an introductory season, and sometimes introductory seasons age well, but as for me, season 1 has not aged well for me, and it's kind of boring in some parts. I would say the first half of season 1 is boring, but the second half is like the good stuff. But it's just me. You might have a different opinion.
Alrighty. Well, do any of you agree or disagree with that? Who would like to chime in next?
I do.
Go ahead, Carter. You can go next.
Yeah, go ahead, Carter.
I kind of agree with Toy Bonnie, but I honestly don't think the first half of series 1 was that boring because, like, they introduced some new characters. The first half of season 1 is the half that started it all for the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Cool, man.
Is that it, or you want to add something else?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
alrighty. You go ahead. You go ahead, James. You go ahead, James. I want to save my thoughts for last. So go ahead. What you thought was interesting about season 1 overall?
Oh, I think series 1 though, when the Reviw Audrey first met David Mitten and Bernal Croft, when he eventually met them first in the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
They eventually made the very first Thomas and Friends introduction, the model to TV series
Hmm.
in 1984, where that originally took place when they eventually get started and get ready for all of the crew members and all of the other directors and writers and crew members starting working on the show for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and that was originally all I have to say.
Alrighty. Alright, well, basically, yeah, as all of you have stated, is that, like, yeah, season 1 is definitely, an introductory season, as, like I said, it's the first season of the show, so basically, they're gonna have to basically, get all the grounds with the show, basically being like, okay, this is what the show is about, here are the characters, these are what the characters are, these are the traits, what they do, and everything, and basically, like, as Toy Barney said, introductory seasons, it can depend on how well they age and such, depending on the show and such, and later seasons as well. To me, I think Series 1 does still hold up in terms of, like, being both an introductory series and being a series overall. Because, as all of you said, it's what introduced to the show and such. It's what, helped us introduce to the characters we know and love, like Thomas, James, Gordon, Henry, Percy, and all that. And some of their personalities will stick, during the later seasons of 2 and 7 and everything. And basically, basically some of them will. You do see a little bit of like character development here and there, which is something we'll probably touch in more when we get to like the later series and such, because some could argue, had the characters actually matured and such, or have they always been, the same during the during the seasons and such as the show goes on. But basically, like I said, series 1 does do a really decent job of like bringing the show to like British television and such, and basically David and Britt, did like what others try to do and try to bring the series into television, and they did a really good job for like for the first season and such. And that's something I actually do want to bring up in terms of like the episodes, because while I was watching series 1 and series 2, I've noticed something very interesting between the episodes in those seasons versus the later seasons. And that, like, I feel like the episodes in this season were very almost like basically almost like a story arc in some way and such. Basically, at the time that we're doing this live stream, I'm basically watching Avatar: The Last Airbender and such. And basically, I mentioned in the script and such is that, like, with shows like Thomas and such, basically you can watch any episode and you could already, get an idea for what the show is about and such. But there are some episodes and such where you might need to watch, a certain episode first in order to understand another episode. And for Series 1, I feel like Series 1, you kind of need to watch it from the beginning to end and such. Because like I said, there are a lot of, like, episodes that connect each other, like, for the very next episode. Like, for example, the first, 3 episodes, we get a little introduction to Gordon, Henry, and Edward and such. And then we get, like, 3 episodes for James, we get, 3 episodes for Henry, we get 3 episodes for the big engines and such. There's a lot of, like...
And we get one for Percy and then Toby, and, yeah, I think 1 or 2 for Terrence and Birdie.
Yeah, Yeah. Basically, what I'm saying is that, like, there are a lot of episodes where basically, you kind of have to watch them in an order in order to understand, like, what's going on in like the next episode and such, which is really interesting, and like I said, season two does this as well with this episode. And then when we get to season three and such, I feel like somewhere around season three and after season four, all the episodes are pretty much, their own little thing. Like, they kind of don't really connect to each other, but there are still some episodes where they still connect to one another.
Is it
Thoughts on that?
Is it
You go,
called?
go ahead.
I think you forgot to mention that Thomas actually has two quadrilogies in this season.
Oh yeah, he does. Actually, you're right. There's the first four episodes where we get to see him with his branch line, or at least earning his branch line, and then the next four episodes after James is basically him, seeing what he does on his branch line as well too. Which again also makes sense because, like, as Toy Barney mentioned, these were basically based on the books on the Railway series, and the Railway series,
It's a
like,
type of copy and paste. The season one is basically like a copy and paste because they did little to no changes on the adaptations. Like
Yeah,
they
basically.
That's only okay. Well, that's only if you watch it. If you're if you're in the UK audience and such, then yeah, basically, the episodes what you see is pretty much, word from word from the Railway series book itself. But if you're watching at least from the US version and such, they do. And this is something I realized that this is mostly replying to season one. But basically, like, yeah, in the U.S. episodes, there were lots of changes, like, in terms of at least, sentences and words that they had to change, for the U.S. audience back then and such. Which, again, it's, really interesting.
the most famous one is Sir Topham Hatt. They changed it from the Fat Controller to Sir Topham Hatt so as to not offend. Because I imagine if they were to say the Fat Controller in the United States, yeah, that would have encountered a great deal of controversy.
Well, I mean, like, to be fair,
That's
Sir Topham
pretty
Hatt
funny.
already has Sir Topham Hatt already has his own fair share of controversies from quote unquote journalists, but let's not get into that.
No, absolutely not. No, no.
Yeah, but yeah,
Oh no.
is there anything about is there anything that you guys? Well, since we're already talking about the episodes, let's talk about the episodes themselves. Basically, are there any other episodes that you guys want to mention in the season? Whether it's like your favorite episode or something that you found interesting, or an episode that you didn't like and such. Who wants to go first?
I do.
Let's.
All
All
right,
right, go, Jay, go
let's
ahead.
let James go first. Go
Yeah.
ahead, James.
Yeah. One of the episodes that eventually interests me is Thomas Gets Tricked, Series 1, Episode 1,
Mm-hmm.
narrated by Ringo Starr.
Alrighty.
Why is that? Why does it pique your interest?
Talking about the episode, it eventually originally talks about where Thomas plays a trick on Gordon, and oh no.
Go ahead, take your
He
time.
plays,
Like I
he
said,
plays a
it's all-
trick
it's
on
all
he
new,
plays
yeah.
a trick on
Yeah.
Gordon, and Gordon gets back at him for the teasing that happened that Thomas did to him, and Gordon pulls him, and we all know the first story is an iconic story that can't be disliked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is really true. And also, the funniest part of the episode though, at that time though, I like when how Thomas said, "Wake up, lazy bones, do some hard work for a change."
You can't catch me. Oh yeah, that's classic. That's classic Thomas right there.
Yeah, that's a classic one right there. And I like when Hal eventually Gordon got his angry face ready and about to pay Thomas back for teasing him and fooling around with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he was originally getting ready to pull the express or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly he eventually dived in and reversed up Thomas way too quickly and too close until then he was originally uncoupled into the train, and then Gordon set off, and then and then he eventually set off and down with the express, and Gordon didn't even never heard Thomas eventually was originally in the back of the train.
Mm-hmm.
And also, one more thing though, there was also the CGI 2015 of Thomas and Friends: The Adventure Begins, that looked absolutely just like the series one, the TV series scene.
Yes,
So that
basically,
well, that's because
yeah, that's
they
because
took the
like
first
the
eight
Adventure Begins was
episodes.
basically like a way for them to celebrate the 75th anniversary
70th.
of the Railway
70th.
series and such. Well, actually, the 70th. My bad.
No, 70th, 2015.
We don't talk about the 75th anniversary. Oh my god, that was terrible. That was
But
terrible.
this year's the 75th anniversary of 2021.
No, it was 76 because last year was 75th.
Yeah, 76 years of Edward and Thomas.
Oh snap! 76 is today. Oh, I didn't even realize that.
I know time
Yeah.
time does fly by.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now it's 9:06 p.m.
Alrighty. Alright, is there any other episodes you wanted to talk about real quick, James, or should we move on?
Hold up, I got one more episode and then we'll move on.
Alrighty, what's the other episode you want to talk about?
Second episode is Edward Helps Out. Series 1, Episode 2.
Alright.
Okay, the story where that originally took place is this is the first time that I eventually see Edward in this episode in this the part of this series, and also Edward eventually wants to go out into the sheds. Yeah, fortunately with the others, and once his eventually driver eventually told him,
Mm-hmm.
do you eventually like to come out? And then he said, "Oh yes, please," said Edward.
Alrighty.
If you want, I can go next, or Carter can go next. I don't mind.
Go ahead, Carter. It's your turn.
Yeah, go ahead. Are there any other episodes you wanted to discuss real quick? Any favorites or anything?
Yeah.
Well, my favorite episode from season 1 is Thomas and Murray, because if you've never watched the episode before, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, on one hand, Thomas could win and Murray could lose. But on the other, Thomas could lose and Murray could win. You really don't know what to expect if you haven't watched it.
Mm-hmm.
That is really true. Yeah, when I was originally watching the episode, though, it was originally Thomas that was originally the winner.
Yes, that's
And
true.
by the time you've watched the whole episode, you know what happens in it.
Mm-hmm.
Can we take a moment to talk about the iconic Birdie theme from season 1 and 2? That's a fucking amazing theme.
Right, man.
Yeah, that's amazing, dude.
It is. I did mention when I first reviewed season 1, I originally put Thomas and Birdie at number 1 and such because, again, and this is what the show I think it really shines the best. You know, making simple stories and such, but basically having fun with it. And Thomas and Birdie is definitely the highlight of that, where it's just basically, you know, two friends having a race and such, but they're having so fun and everything that you're having fun with the characters and such that you don't mind who's going to win at the end of the episode.
Yep.
Indeed, that's a true point right there.
That's really true.
And then
I like that. Oh yeah, go ahead, Carter. Go ahead. I'm listening.
And then another one of my favorites is an episode from the Henry trilogy. Take a guess which one.
Flying Kipper.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
You can't. It's illegal to dislike that episode because I've seen a lot of Thomas fans get pissed off if you don't like that episode. You have to like that episode.
You must like the episode, or you are not a true Thomas fan.
You must.
I love that episode.
You must like the episode, or none of you getting delicious chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
Good joke, man.
If you just like the episode, you get oatmeal cookies.
Yep.
Anyway,
You
proceed,
don't like the
But
Carter.
go ahead.
bad.
Go ahead. Why do you like the flying kipper?
Yeah.
Well, one of the main reasons is because Henry gets his new shape that we all know and love in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
That only lasts for this season because after this season they bring back the I think the splashers in his boiler.
Oh yeah, they did. And my favorite. Oh yeah, my favorite part of the episode. I love the crash. How they eventually
Oh
get
yeah,
to,
like yeah, that crash. I think that is definitely one of the most intense and serious crash they ever build up in that season up until that point. Like I mean, sure, we can
Yeah.
argue that the hand kind of ruins it a little bit, but at the same
Yup.
time, but at the same but at the same time, the crash is really well filmed and edited at the time that I can't imagine how many kids were probably a little scared of that scene when they first saw it.
Yeah, the hand doesn't ruin that scene pretty much at all, in my opinion. And that
Yeah,
was
me
actually
neither.
the other reason I like this episode. The big crash is the first crash we see on screen. Well, I know Thomas went into snow and Terrence the tractor, but I honestly don't consider that a crash. More just an
yeah. It's just more of an accident because Thomas, was just being a bratty little kid and such.
Yeah, he was just being a bit
Yeah,
careless.
true.
He didn't know what was going to happen
Yeah.
because of his choices.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But the flying kipper crash, that's a whole new story. Henry did not know that the train was on the track that he was on, and when he figured out, it was too late.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first crash of the season in my eyes. And if you consider Thomas and the Breakdown Train to be the first crash of the season, James
We don't see it on screen. We don't see it on screen.
I mean, we could technically kind of consider it a crash, but it's more like off screen. We don't really see James derailing himself and such, so it's kind of a crash, but kind of not.
But
Yeah,
I think originally though they originally used their hands to eventually to crash the model go blah like that.
Yeah,
Like a
basically,
big
yeah.
slap. Mhm.
yeah, that's all I have to say.
All
Without
right.
seeing their
right.
cameras in
Well,
when
I'll
they're
go-
on-
I'll go next.
All right, go right ahead.
I got 3 favorite episodes from season 1. I do have a least favorite, but I still love it. It's not that I hate it. I just think it's my least favorite, but I still love it. All right,
Alright.
so I'm gonna begin my top 3. I'm gonna be going from 3 to 1. My number 3 one is Thomas and Birdie, or Thomas and Birdie's Great Race. That you live in the United States. Who can dislike that episode? It's an amazing episode between the race of Thomas and Birdie, and like Carter said, you don't know who is exactly going to win the race, and the music just like this music's so catchy that I'm not even gonna mind who's gonna win the race. Thomas wins the race in the end, but it's nice to see them race for the first time, and the only time actually until the very last episode of the classic era, ironically, right, Sako?
A little ironic, yeah.
Yeah.
Was actually a fun
another
fact. From what I understand, the Thomas and Birdie race was actually based on a board game that the Reverend Andre made for his children one time when they were vacationing.
Yeah, and Christopher said that the race between them wasn't fair, so it's like, oh, it's not fair. Oh, I'll prove you that it's fair, and he drew an entire map of the routes. Yeah.
Amazing.
That is
Yeah,
really
that was the Reverend W. Audrey for you. You doubted him, he gave you a real answer. That was Wilbur for you.
Yeah,
You
that's
doubt-
true.
You doubted my skills? Well, let me go Phoenix Wright on you and say how you're wrong.
literally Phoenix Wright series.
Uh-huh.
Literally
Yeah.
Ace Attorney.
Yeah.
It is.
My second favorite, my number 2 will have to be. I'm gonna have to go with Toby and the Stout Gentleman. Cause come on, I love me some Toby. Who doesn't love me some Toby?
I love Toby.
Toby
and
is a really
I
good character.
yeah,
shame he got
and
shame he got completely destroyed in the hit era, but in the classic era he was an amazing character. Always he was the brave one. He never doubted himself, and he always went ahead and forged ahead, even when others doubted him. So that's why I like the episode, because Toby proves himself as a really useful engine, even if his railway's gonna close.
Mm-hmm. Which actually, yeah,
And
actually, I
my
do want to before you get to
Yeah, go
your
ahead.
favorite, real quick. I just want to say something interesting, at least to me as a kid. When I was a kid, any Thomas VHS I had a big day for Thomas VHS with George Carlin narrations and such.
Yes,
And
I
they
have it
always
on
show
DVD as
Toby.
well.
They always show Toby and Stout Gentleman at the end and such. I always wonder where the heck is that second part and such. Not realizing that Thomas Breaks the Rules was actually the second part, and I just didn't realize it yet.
It took you a
oh
while.
yeah, that is really
Yeah.
entirely true. Oh yeah, what kind of video was that, Timmy?
It was a VHS tape of a big day for Thomas and other stories.
Oh yeah, I used to have the childhood release, but it got scratched.
Ooh, yeah,
I
that's
have it.
yeah.
I have it. I have two copies of it for unknown reasons. I have two copies on DVD of it because
And plus,
I saw the back cover. I saw the back cover, and they had a screenshot of Train Stops Play. I was like, "Ooh, Train Stops Play. Let's see if that episode's on there." And it turns out it wasn't. I was very upset.
oh yeah, fortunately though, the Train Stops Play was not seen in this release though.
It
Fortunately,
wasn't. No, I was very upset. I was
Yeah.
very upset with that. But anyway, going back to
Go ahead.
my
What's your number
favorite.
one? What's your number one favorite episode of season one?
Okay, so Sequoia might know this. Might know this already. I bet he's already know. I bet he already knows what's my number one pick. But my number one pick is Thomas's Christmas Party.
Ooh.
I don't have anything bad to say about the episode. I love everything. Since winter is my favorite time of the year, of course I have to pick a winter episode as my number one. Sure, there are some winter episodes in the later seasons that are bad or meh, but this one is just like it's just so good that I can't dislike it. Thomas and Toby helping Mrs. Kindly, and then the "We Wish You Merry Christmas" song at the very end. Man, I only have one word to describe that episode. Perfect. That's all.
Alrighty.
And before we move, you want to say something, Carter? Before I say my least favorite.
Toy Bonnie, I'm guessing your fourth favorite is the Flying Kipper.
Yes, Flying Keeper's number 4. If I had to make an honorable mention, yeah, Flying Keeper will be in the third in the fourth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or yeah, it's on 4. Anyway, my least favorite. I don't dislike this episode. I think it's I love it as well, but it's just like looking back at it, it's like I've seen it before, so therefore it's not doesn't do anything for me like before. I'll have to pick Troublesome Trucks.
The one where James pulls the cars after the bootlaces and
Yeah.
such. Yeah, I actually really love the episode because the reason why I love it because it's just more like it's just more like James trying to redeem himself and everything after after he messed up with the bootlaces and everything and with the coaches and such. I think another reason why I love this episode, and we'll get into this when we talk about the directing and such, but it's one of the few episodes where you do get to see how well the sets, were made during that season and such. And basically, like I said, I just like looking around Sordor and such. Anytime an engine travels anywhere around Sordor and such and everything, it always goes up in my book a little bit.
Yeah, and those few scenes with Thomas were just hilarious.
Like, have you got bootlaces
I know,
ready?
right?
And that was like a big. That's classic Thomas right there. Cheeky
Yeah.
Thomas.
All right.
That's
To put some
classic.
comedy into it.
That's classic cheeky Thomas for you.
Yeah, classic
Yep.
Thomas.
That's
Before he
our
was
Thomas,
chopped into
folks.
a whiny bitch. Before he was turned into a whiny bitch in season 8. But that's another story.
Yeah, we're going to save that for Series 8 when we get to it.
I know, I'm sure we all have a lot to say about, I'm sure we have a lot to say about post-classic era stuff.
Yeah, but classic era. I've seen. This is a. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there are a lot of people out there that just can't accept anything that doesn't have classic Thomas on it. I understand at times, but sometimes it's like really annoying because it's like it doesn't have Mike and Jr. It's not good. Like,
Yeah,
come on,
I
dude.
do agree that, like, I think some people are a little bit, too harsh when it comes to, criticizing new Thomas and such. I mean, some of them do give valid points and such, but at the same time, I can't help but to feel that, like, some of them are just, only judging it because, like, it's not old Thomas or anything like that, and they're not really giving it a fair shot, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when giving fair points, I think we're mainly just talking about Boba and the Miller era.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the Hit era and the Brenner era were good at times.
They were.
I think almost the whole Brenner era was great.
Almost all of it, because there was a couple bad episodes from what I can remember.
Yeah, that's why it's most.
The reason I drew the white flag, the main reason I drew the white flag at the end of the Boba era was because of this episode called World of Tomorrow with this stupid scientist called Ruth. When I saw her, I drew the white flag because why are stupid scientist inventions on my favorite TV show?
What?
Get that out of there.
Had you seen Thomas and the Royal Engine before that?
Oh, Royal Engine, yes, I actually loved it, but when I saw Beresford, that really pissed me off because I hate Beresford. I hate Beresford.
I mean, they were on the mainland, so it kind of makes sense.
It makes sense, but that's another story. I don't have anything good to say about Journey Beyond Sodor, but that's another story when we get to the review.
Oh, I love Journey Beyond Sodor.
Thank
Great movie.
God you watched Royal Engine before World of Tomorrow.
I did because they were premiering it. And I was like, yeah, let's watch it. And I liked it. It was good for what it is, and it's a great finale to the series,
Yes.
in my opinion.
It's amazing. It basically ends the same way it started, I would say.
Yes, that is correct. They put some references to the Railway series, and it's just an amazing way to end a 37-year-old franchise.
They even mentioned Gordon Goes Foreign.
Indeed, I was like,
Oh
shocked
yeah,
when they
there's
mentioned
the
that.
whole.
When I heard that reference, I was like, mouth dropped.
Me too. My mouth dropped wide open. I was like, no way. They mentioned Gordon Goes Foreign?
Which is very interesting because from what I understand, David Min, the team was ready to adapt Gordon Goes Foreign into the classic era, but sadly, money reasons, they couldn't do it.
Oh, the same thing with the missing coach too. That got
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was apparently too confusing for the kids.
Yeah.
They introduced Bill and Ben, who are nearly exactly alike. Then again, Bill was pretty much R2.
Well, did you know that Bill and Ben?
Yeah. Well, we could pretty much extend on that when we get to season 2 next month and such.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Bill and Ben originally were gonna have numbers like in the Railway series, but for some reason they painted them off before filming began.
Yeah, they basically just forgot about the numbers later on.
Yeah. But that's what made them iconic. When they got rid of the numbers, for some reason, I found them more appealing. But we'll talk about that when we get to season 2.
Yeah, I think we're getting a bit off track.
Yeah. Hey, we're getting a bit off track. We're talking about Thomas. Okay.
Yeah.
And
also, all right. Well, how about I get back on track and I'll talk about my favorite episodes from season 1.
Sakoa has been left in the dark. Sakoa has been left in the dark when we were talking about the later era. So yeah, Sakoa, go ahead, talk about season 1.
Alright. So basically, season 1 in terms of episodes, not really much. My opinions have changed too much on these episodes. All these episodes I still like to this day and such. Before I get to my favorite ones, I will get to my weakest one. That's mostly going to be James and the coaches and such. Again, it's not a bad episode or anything outright, but for some reason I felt it was a little bit disjointed, I guess could be the right word from it. So basically, let me explain. So basically, like, before James and the Coaches, we had another episode where they combined two stories into one, which was Edward and Gordon. And I felt that one was a little bit more better and such because it was a little bit more better paced and such. Because the first story, Edward's Day Out, was really short and such, so I can understand why, Britt and David wanted to, combine that with Edward and Gordon. And plus, two, we've already met Gordon in the first episode anyway, so it'll kind of be pointless to reintroduce him again. James and the Coaches, like, I felt the two stories, well, I can understand why they, matched them together, because both of them on their own drag out for too long. I felt like it still made the episode feel a little bit draggy at some points. There were some moments I like in the episode, basically, again, seeing a tour around Sordor with James and Edward, as well as, James realized, oh god, I just messed up and such. But overall, like, I felt James and the Coaches was kind of the weakest one in Season 1 and such, in my opinion, but... Alrighty, so, in terms of, like, my favorite episodes from Season 1, well, some of you guys already said some episodes before, like Thomas and Birdie and the Flying Kipper. One of my other favorite episodes will have to be A Big Day for Thomas and such, aka Thomas's Train. The reason why I love that episode is because I can relate to Thomas and such, because there's been lots of moments in my life and such where I'm so excited to do something and everything. And basically, I can't tell you how many times where, like, sometimes I leave the house and such, or, I basically leave or I basically go out somewhere, and as soon as I left something behind, at the house and such, because, I knew I was going to need it, but I forgot it, and as soon as I realized, I was like, dang it, I gotta go back to the house and get it. So I could...
Interesting you mentioned that, because that's my remember what Carter said? The Flying Kipper was my number 4. Thomas's Train is my number 5 pick, if I had to make a top 5, because I can so relate to that happening, because sometimes I go out and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to some Kiss while I'm on the way to a particular party or something like that. But then I realized, like, oh fuck, I left the CD behind. God damn it.
Yeah, actually, it's another same thing too. Like, my mom and I were about to go out to dinner on Sunday and such, and we left and everything, but then I just realized, damn it, I left my wallet behind. So, basically, she wasn't mad or anything. We basically did go out, again yesterday at the end anyway. But every time that happens, I just feel a little bit embarrassed and such, like Thomas in that situation.
I think we've all had that one moment. I think we've all had that one moment in our lives where we just forget something.
Like I said, I'm sure Toy Barney can, attest to this too, but, like, there's been plenty of times where I forget stuff in the end, and sometimes I just look like a dumbass and such until I realize, oh wait, I forgot something.
Yes, because fun fact, if a lot of you may not know this, but when I was editing the season 7 review, it took me a week and a half to edit for the ones that are interested in knowing. I just finished editing. What's the 10th episode of season 7? I think it's Toby's new windmill.
Yes, I know where you're going with this. I had already recorded the. Actually, no, I did not record it. For some reason, when I was looking up the script, somehow I skipped a bad day at Locke's Castle. And immediately went for Renee's and roller coaster.
Yeah. You totally forgot to talk about that episode.
So when I gave Toy Barney the audio, he basically messaged me on Facebook, be like, hey dude, you forgot to record a Down on the Douglas episode. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. All right, well I could do that real quick. So yeah.
I was like, wait a moment. Where's Bad Day Castle Lock? I can't continue without that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just basically had to record it real quick. It wasn't too long to begin with, so maybe that's why I forgot about it, because it was just so short and everything. And Renee's in a roller coaster. I had a lot to say about that episode anyway, so that's probably why I went
Renee's
to
in
that
the
one
roller
first because
coaster
it was longer.
Yeah. So anyway, I can continue as I go. I was just gonna say that because it's a fun fact that a lot of people don't know that while I was editing the review.
If I had to sum it up in a meme, it would basically be like, Toy Bonnie, have you included all the episodes? Sokoa, yes. Toy Bonnie, are you sure? Shows Bad Day at Castle Lock. Sokoa, oh yes. Shoot.
That's a fun. That's a good. That's a good. That's a good. That's good meme material right
you know
there.
what? It would be interesting. You know what? If anyone wants to make any first memes of me and Toy Bonnie, you have our permission.
Yep. Total permission.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Alrighty.
There
But
you go.
basically, any other? I do have other favorite episodes of season one. Another one is Henry Special Cole, aka Cole and such. I like that episode because, again, it's really one of the most saddest episodes of the Thomas franchise and such.
I know, right?
Definitely more sadder than Grandpuff and such in some way.
I,
Because
I get I get goosebumps. I get goosebumps every time I hear if we can't mend you, we'll have to send another engine to do the work for you.
yeah,
That line always gives me goosebumps.
or basically in the original and UK version, it's just more like, if we can't make you better, we must get another engine instead of you, which is basically the fact control, which is just basically the fact control and implying like, well, if you can't work, we're just gonna have to scrap you. Sorry, son.
Yeah, it's basically it was basically Sir Topham Hatt's way of saying, we'll have to scrap you if we can't get you to work properly.
Yeah, and again, again, I'm sure we'll mention this off screen, but I think Mike and Junior handled that music for that episode so well. I really do love.
Yes,
I really do
absolutely.
love Henry's sad theme because, again, they do so well and making you feeling so sorry for an engine, for God's sake. They make you feel sorry for an engine that could possibly die and such in this universe because he's really sick and they don't know what's wrong with him. And then when they finally realize what's wrong with him, again, you're cheering for Henry. You're like, yeah, he's finally back together again. He's finally normal and all that.
Yeah, that happened throughout the equation.
We don't talk about the goof that we see that Henry shots forward after hitting the station and then he goes back forward.
Yeah.
We don't talk about
I
that.
remember that, yeah.
He is. What also made that episode for me is definitely the way he talks to Thomas at the end too, because again Thomas at the guard, again that's also another reason why you have to watch these episodes in order, because when Thomas first noticed that Henry is sick, he basically like the other ends, he's just like, you're not sick, you're just way too fat, fatty, get an exercise. And then basically at the end of Cole, he's just oh yeah, that's real. Again, that's my favorite one of all time. And again, just basically, at the end of Cole, Henry was just like, well, I'm faster than you now. Well, I can't talk to you forever. Goodbye. And then Thomas is just like, well, damn.
Oh yeah, you got like 5 minutes left in the Google Meet live.
I do. Alrighty, folks. Alright, if we do have 5 minutes left, alright, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a new Google Meet real quick. Let's see. We're gonna make a new Google Meet real quick, and then we'll be right back. So give us a few minutes, guys. So I think we pretty much talked about all the episodes we want to talk about. Is there anything we want to add real quick, or should we move on to the next section?
I think we should move on.
Alright,
Yeah, we should move on.
Let's talk about the characters then. So basically, how this is going to work? Each of us will, pick a character that we want to talk about and such. Toy Bonnie's also made slides and such. So I guess before we should continue, we should mention that these streams will be uploaded, but they'll be uploaded to the co-op channel Review Bros. So if you guys have not subscribed to the Review Bros yet, make sure you do. Again, the link to that will be in the description on the season 7
I'll send it on
review.
the chat.
So
I'll send it right now in the chat. So give me a second.
So make sure you guys subscribe to it. We will put these out in the Review Bros soon. We don't know when yet because I got a very busy week today. But basically they will come out soon. We can promise you that.
I send them in the chat right now.
Alrighty. Alright, well while Toy Bonnie is doing that, If you
I
want
just
Toy
read.
Bonnie, if you want to introduce one of the characters, go right ahead.
Hold on.
Of course.
I just
Go ahead, Carl.
live chat. ZJM just said, "Why is Go causing confusion and delay?" I just find that hilarious.
Blame Google Meets, which is basically Google Meets is basically what we're using and such.
Music.
And we were gonna try Hangouts because I knew that like with Google Meets, trying to be like being like you guys could only use this for 1 hour and such. We were gonna try to use Google Hangouts, but for
It's
some reason
bullshit,
it
let's
didn't
be
work.
honest.
We were gonna try Discord and such, but that also didn't work. So we're like, all right, well, we gotta use Meet. So like I
Yeah.
said, the only thing
In
that we
it,
could do is just basically, make sure that we just reset. Basically reset the meets every time for every hour and such. But
All right.
thankfully, these are only going to be uploaded every these are only going to be uploaded every 2 hours and such. So we don't have too much to worry about that.
Anyways, Toy Bonnie, would you like to talk about one of the characters?
Of course. All right. So, Sakoa, am I doing the honors? Because I'm gonna be kind of a teaser right now. Because we're gonna talk about the show, the character that started it all on the TV show, at least, Thomas.
Alrighty, so yeah, let's talk about Thomas the Tank Engine and such. Bait.
I'm gonna wait for
Wait.
the
Did you actually want me to talk about the slides? Because I can't pull up the slides right now.
You can't pull them up.
No, because I mean, like I could pull them up and such, but I'm using OBS to basically, as a display and such. But I can still talk about Thomas if you want me to talk about Thomas and such.
All right. I'll edit the slides in on the actual video after we complete the stream. But
Okay.
I was gonna say, all right. So let's talk about Thomas. So Thomas, we all know, is a cheeky little engine who lives at a big station on the island of Sodor. I'm gonna focus mainly on season one only. I may make a slight reference to the other seasons, but I'm gonna focus mainly on the classic era as a whole. So what I liked about Thomas in the classic era is that he's always this cheeky engine and he's even mature at times. He can be cheeky at times, but he's mature at times. Like at first, you may seem like, wake up, lazy bones. Why don't you do some hard work for a change? And also, he's mature. Like when he said to Elizabeth, "It wasn't your fault, Elizabeth. It was this icy road that caused the accident." That shows Thomas's mature side as well. And I also like that Thomas is like a role model for little kids to follow. That you can prove to your parents that you can be a really good kid and a really good friend to other people.
Basically, it also proves that hey, just because you're small or you're young doesn't mean you can't do anything.
Just because
you
you're
can do
small,
anything,
doesn't
as
mean
long
you
as you
can't
put your
do
mind
anything.
to it.
As long as you put your dedication and mind to it, you can do anything. That's Thomas for you.
Yes.
So
go ahead. You go ahead and finish, Thomas.
Yeah. So a lot of people have on social media and a few of my close friends on real life have asked me, who's your favorite Thomas character? And I would say it's Thomas, because Thomas for me is like such an important character in my childhood that I can dislike him. Yes, he may act like an asshole in the later seasons, and he might act like a fucking immature and annoying little bastard and blah blah. But I've never disliked Thomas, and Thomas will always be my all-time favorite character next to Edward and Toby and Percy.
Alrighty. Alright, is there anything you guys want to add about Thomas or something? Anything that you guys know about Thomas that Toy Barney didn't mention or anything?
ooh, I got one.
Go right ahead, James.
So in the middle of the set of the first airing of the show for the first time ever, I really do eventually love the layout that they eventually did and the model making for the trains, the figurines and stuff, the background, skies, the clouds, the evening skies and everything else. It looked absolutely beautiful. It looked exactly a lot like a real life Bachman Olino or Hornby real life toy Thomas and Friends model layout that it eventually remind me of, though, to buy me the whole entire of the set and bring out the whole entire thing. Imagine that, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually, you know what? That is one thing that I do want to ask. When you guys were kids, did you actually think that like the team actually built like the team actually did build like like a giant like a giant railway around the studio and such, and that's how they were able to get all the shots, all the cameras
I
and
actually
such.
thought that. I actually thought that when I was a little kid. I thought Sodor was a real place, and I was like, Mom, can we go to Sodor when I'm a little bit older? And then,
Your
and then
mom,
when I then when,
and your mom was just like, "Sure, kid, you can go to Sordor, but you're gonna have to wait till you get older, and we're gonna have to prescribe you some meds first."
it wasn't until I was in high school that I found out that it was made with models. The first time I noticed that the show was made with models, the classic Thomas that is, I saw behind the scenes picture. I think it was of Thomas in trouble from season 11,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw the end of the set and I saw the cameras and everything. It's like, oh wait a moment, so they use models
And
for
we
the
can see
TV
like a
for this?
little hand though, unfortunately, like I'm trying to like stop up the camera
Wait,
off.
guys,
So
guys,
but
I think I found a way to show the characters.
You did
Ha!
on the slides.
Um,
Oh,
no, I'm going to share my tab because like I opened an image of Thomas in a new tab.
Mm-hmm.
I have the
So
slides here,
yeah,
so I can just. Oh, okay. Ah, thank you
oh,
for the.
no problem.
Oh, thank
oh,
you. That's a
okay.
picture.
Thank
That's a
you.
picture. Thank
Really
you.
very
Thank you.
appreciative.
That's very good. That's very good. That's very
Yep.
good.
Alrighty.
Sek, you want to say something about? Do you want to continue talking about Thomas?
Well, there isn't too much I want to add about Thomas. You pretty much said most of the stuff that we all know about Thomas. Yeah. Basically, in the classic series and everything, he is basically, we do see a little bit more of a growth. We do see more of a growth from Thomas between seasons 1 and 7. Where season 1, he's he's basically like a naive, innocent, little kid that basically thinks he could do everything right away and everything. But as we see in episodes like Thomas's Train or Thomas in the Trucks and such, he basically still makes mistakes here and there and everything. But at the same time, he does learn from his mistakes and everything. And you do see the progression going as the series goes on, like, with Thomas in the breakdown train and such. Or even in other episodes, like, Thomas gets bumped or trusts Thomas and such, where basically, he is starting to mature here and there as the series goes on. And again, that is something to,
Yeah.
admire. And that's another reason why,
And let's not forget Trust Thomas. Like I know you and me. I don't know about Carter and James. I know you and me dislike that episode because of the two ideas that don't go together. But
yeah.
I just like that Thomas is like very helpful when it comes to Birdie because Birdie was angry at the road being broken and Thomas said, you know what, I'm gonna help you. You can trust me, and he did at the very end. Look at that.
He did. He did. And again, it does show growth between Thomas and his other friends throughout the series and such. Again, you do see character growth throughout the show and everything. Alrighty. Alright. Was there is there a character from season 1 that any of you three want to talk about or anything?
Oh, I want to talk about James, the Red Engine.
All right, go ahead. Talk about James. What do you like about James, or basically what is something you found interesting about James during this season?
Yeah, what are you? You can talk about James in the classic era. We don't mind because yeah, season one is like very difficult to keep track of. But yeah, talk about James in the classic era if you want.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So about James the Red Engine, I really will eventually love this character on this episode of Thomas Friends. Thank you, Carter, for sharing your screen. And
Mm-hmm.
also, the reason why I liked about James, he likes to eventually like show off his originally his red paint as such, and James remind me of such a jerk, but he is originally like a very really good character in this season.
What I like about James is that sometimes he's like a good character because he sometimes does jobs that he doesn't like, but then on the other hand, one that's like, if you don't do this job, you're not gonna have a good opponent. It's like, okay, well, I'll do it. I'll do it.
And
Yeah.
if Topham had said to like do his jobs as he was originally told, like as always says, really Avengers don't argue, or else he might eventually painted him blue.
James for me is like it's also he's one of my favorite characters as well, but in my top three, he wouldn't be in my top three because I do think in the later seasons, I think he became a little bit of a jerk and a show off, a little bit too much of a show off.
Yeah.
But I can't deny that he has a good personality that makes him unique from the other engines. Like we don't see an engine that boasts too much about how he looks, and James is like one of the very few that boasts about his paint, and that's a very interesting topic to know about James.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny that you brought up about James's character being different in both the classic era and the hit era, and it's something I've always wanted to ask. I've asked myself about why do I like James a little more in the classic era than I do in the new era? And I think it's like you said, in the classic era, in that yeah, he's boastful and sometimes can be a little bit too arrogant and such. But but Reverend Andre and even the show tries to find a nice balance of him being arrogant but not being a complete jerk. Like all the entrants, he still wants to be useful and such, and he'll do he'll basically do the job and everything that he's told to do. And again, like Thomas and such and everything, excuse me. But basically, like Thomas, when he messes up and such, he does feel real guilty and feels real bad and will do anything to basically, make up for the fact that, hey, yeah, I messed up. Can you give me another chance and such? I promise, I will do hard to, behave and everything. And you see that in episodes like, with Troublesome Trucks and James and the Express that, again, he also does learn from his, mistakes and everything. And I think that's why he's a little bit more, of a better character in the classic era than he is in the new era and such in some way.
In the new era, he's like a character that if you give him a job, he's like, hey, if it involves troublesome trucks, I'm not doing the fucking job. And yeah, at times it gets annoying because that was how they changed the personalities of the characters back then. It was annoying for me at times, but looking back at it now, it's like taking a Boaba James and comparing it to the new era James. I take the hit era James over the Boaba James.
I see.
Oh yeah, I have eventually one more question. I like how they eventually in the CGI era version. I like how they eventually put the script line that said, "Ta-da! Here's James." Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's iconic. In my opinion, that's one of the best things that the CGI era did. They gave James a good, very memorable line.
They did.
Iconic line. Yeah. Yeah.
Were ever eventually James eventually applied his brakes and everything when he was originally up to pulling the express coaches though? He always shout out, "Ta-da! Here's James," like that, and eventually bumped the passengers and such. Yeah, though, because the passengers do not eventually like that at all, though, because Sir Top Hat doesn't even like that neither, because do not skid into the station ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's another character I really want to talk about that I think we have to talk about because it would be punishment if we don't talk about them. Let's talk about Edward and Henry.
Alrighty. Who should we start with? Who should we start
Let's
with?
talk about Edward first because I think a lot of fans point to Edward as the best Thomas character. He's in my top 5 and he's number 2 on my list. So I'm gonna let you start with Edward, Sakoa. I'm gonna leave you to start with Edward.
Actually, I was gonna ask anyway because I was reading other Thomas review blogs and they brought up something interesting about Edward that has made me rethink this character and such. In that they feel Edward probably works a lot more better as as a secondary character than a main character at times and such. And I can see where they're coming from because if you notice in whenever the Reverend Audrey does have a book centered around Edward and such, Edward is not really the main focus, and most of the stories and such. He's part of the main story, but at the same time, some of the other stories mostly focus on other, engines like Gordon, Henry, James, Trevor, or like Boko, Bill and Ben, and all that. And Edward's just basically the secondary character and such, just basically there to be old and be wise, and basically and just basically give the characters advice to whenever they messed up on certain stuff. And basically now that I'm thinking about it in terms of the classic era, especially with episodes surrounding Edward and such. Even in the classic era, with episodes Edward the Really Useful Engine or Edward's Brass Band and such. Edward is really more of a secondary character sometimes, and it's just more focused on just basically focus more on other characters and such. I can't decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing and such because because on the one hand that the character is supposed to be like we say almost like a Yoda, or basically being old, like someone that can give advice and such. But pretty much when you give a character that sort of trait and such, you kind of run yourself in the back corner where it's just like, well, what else can I do with this character and such without trying to seem like him being out of character. And I feel like the only way you could do that is if you give Edward and pair him to someone else that is flawed and does need his advice here and there. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys agree with what I'm saying, or do you guys want to add something?
I'm gonna have
to
to disagree at parts because I sometimes like Edward as a main character because I always like seeing his personality and seeing I can't you call me old, but I'm gonna prove you wrong. He's like a type of guy that if you doubt him because of his age, he'll prove to you that he can still be really useful, and that's what I love about Edward. Edward is it's like taking your grandfather and you tell him you can't do shit, and then he proves to you that he can push you or help you build something.
I can help you build something, son. Now let me help you build. My back.
Go ahead,
Edward is basically the Wilbur Audrey of Thomas and Friends.
Yes.
Basically,
that is a good point.
He is. Which is fitting because, as many people noticed that, Edward was actually the real first character that, the Reverend Audrey, made up. Thomas was more based.
As the old saying goes, if it wasn't for Edward, there will be no Thomas and Friends.
Yeah, if Wilbur Audrey is what if Edward is what if Edward and Wilbur Audrey are almost like the same person, then I think it's fair to say that Thomas and Christopher are almost the same person too, because Christopher was the one that named Thomas in the first place, and he was the one that wanted books about Thomas to begin with as well. So
yeah. And also one more thing, they was supposed to put Edward and Thomas in the Magic Railroad, the mid 2000s movie, but unfortunately for somehow odd reason there is no time to eventually to make scenes for Edward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad thing, but I think Edward got saved because that we all know that movie didn't do that well.
Yeah, they're supposed to make the second sequel, but unfortunately, though, they had eventually
it's interesting you brought that up because a lot of people say that when the movie came out, that's what killed the show. I disagree with that. What I think killed the show was Hit Entertainment when they took over. That's what I think.
Before Ghislaine used to own the rights for Thomas in 2002.
Yeah.
When Series 2 came out. Mm-hmm. That was originally all of my first season of all time.
Yeah. Carter, is there anything you want to say about Edward? Because I think we left you in the dark for a while because we took the spot with James and everything.
Yeah.
Not really.
All right.
Although I do.
Go ahead.
I do want to talk about a certain green engine from the first season.
All right. You want to talk about Henry then?
Henry?
No, take another guess.
Percy.
Okay.
Percy?
Percy.
Yep.
All right. Well, you go ahead, talk about Percy, and we'll talk about Henry.
Hold on, let me get an image of him first.
Alrighty.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to say that Percy is like Percy and Thomas's friendship is like a very very good thing because David Min actually was a fan of putting Thomas and Percy together.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I would say Percy is basically a smaller version of Thomas. He was the first engine to become part of the main cast of what used to be 5 characters.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
Yes, that is
Because at the
correct.
start of like season one, or like or even in the Railway series, there was always like 5 engines, 5 main characters, and then here comes along the other the other two of the original 7 main cast, Percy and Toby and such.
Yeah, and his first major role, I would say, Percy Runs Away.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the first time that like a full runaway had been presented.
It was
Yes.
actually yes, yes, you are actually right.
You're correct.
I mean, technically, we did have 2 other runaways with like Thomas and the trucks and Thomas saves the day and such. But basically, yeah. Percy runs away was definitely one of the one of the most memorable runaway scenes anyone remembers from the show.
Yeah, Percy Runs Away's runaway was one of the bigger runaways
Mm-hmm.
of the TV series.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, another one being Old Iron, but we'll get to that.
We will.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything about Percy's character that you found interesting, during the classic era that's a little different, or?
Oh yeah, in the photo, that looks like a rare photo of Percy right there with the old
Old coaches.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think those coaches were later reused for Emily because if you look at them, they look very similar to the coaches Emily pulls
They
in
do
the later
look
season.
similar.
They do.
Anyways, I think Percy's character is interesting because he seems to develop more of a personality as the classic series goes on. Learning from his mistakes more and eventually just like trying to like not get into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Though he still does sometimes.
He does, but
As something I remember that makes me laugh is that you guys know that from season 7 onwards that Michael Angelis does this James voice. When we were talking about James, I forgot to mention that he does this James voice that he shouts out his lines, and I love making fun of Tim because he doesn't like that voice when James shouts out his lines like everyone wanted to slow down, but I wanted to go faster than I could pull the presents train. Or something like that because Sekoa doesn't like that.
We'll get
I
to
love making fun of
Michael Angelis when we get to season 3 onwards. We'll get to Michael Angelis, trust me.
I love making fun of him with that voice. I love making fun of him.
We will indeed get to Michael Angelis.
Yeah. Yeah. Continue with Percy, my bad.
And one of the other things I find interesting about Percy is that he was actually the second engine to not have a tender for some reason.
Actually, yeah, you're right. Because like the only tank engine we saw up until this point was Thomas, and Percy was at both the Railway series too. And Percy was like the second main character to be a tank engine.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I like to think that once Thomas even saw Percy, they started to make a friendship.
That's I can see that actually. Yeah, I can. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
David Mitton was a huge fan of having Thomas and Percy in one episode because he saw their friendship as like a magical thing. Like when you paired up those two together, there's a magic in the air with those two characters. That's what David Mitton felt.
Yep,
It's
because
basically
they're very
like a perfect.
involved.
It's basically like one of the most perfect friendships of Thomas and friends.
Definitely.
Indeed, it is. Wait till we get to the season 12 because there's an episode that is just about their friendship, and oh man,
Literally the last episode of season 12.
of the model era in general. Yeah, It's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna say this right now. I love that episode because like we don't get to see episodes of Thomas and Percy's friendship. Yes, we saw a couple like hide and peep or something like that, but that was the last episode of season 12 was like the very first episode to talk about their friendship as a whole.
True.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because like throughout at least the first four seasons of Thomas and Friends, the only real time we ever get to see Thomas and Percy interacting or basically testing their best friend skills is basically with episodes like Thomas Percy and the Cold Ghost Train, Thomas Percy and the Dragon and such. We really don't
Thomas
we
Percy and
really don't really
Old
get to
Cold.
see Thomas and Percy interacting too much during the classic era.
Yeah.
But that doesn't
Yeah.
make them bad episodes.
No, no, I know,
Neither does it.
no, they're not bad episodes by any means. I'm just saying, like, for being
I
best
believe the
friends and
first
such,
season
like,
was
we
good.
don't really see too many episodes with them at some parts, but again, that's not a bad thing either.
Yeah. And that's really all I want to say about Percy.
Can we just take a moment to admire Percy's theme?
Oh yes, I do love Percy's theme. Actually, I'm a little more split on like which one I like more. Like, I do like his original seasons 1 through like 3 theme and such. But his season 5
My
theme
favorite
is
one is
also
season
definitely,
5.
a big
I love the
his
Phase
season
5
5
one.
theme remake is definitely one of the best from Mike and Jr.
I always say that. I always say this. Take out the narration on the Happy Ever After, and you can hear the theme.
You can. Alrighty. All right. Well,
It's amazing.
all right. Well, since 4 of you, well, actually, we all got to talk about our entrance and such. So we still got some characters left. We got Henry next.
There's
who
one.
wants
There's
to
one
talk
I want to
about
focus
Henry?
on. There's one I want to focus on before. Yeah, let's talk about Henry. Then we'll go to another character I want to talk about that I think we should talk about because I feel like it's going to be interesting topic. Bubble. Let's talk about Henry first.
All right. Who wants to talk
Yeah.
about Henry?
I guess I'll go.
All right. Go
Why
ahead.
not? Carter, do the honors and put the image while I start talking. Oh, thank you. All right. Henry. What can I say about Henry that is like never said? Henry. He's like the dark horse of the series 1 characters. He has some of the darkest episodes in the whole series and the one with the most crashes in season 1. He gets stuck in a tunnel. Later, he proves himself to be really useful. Then he takes a flying kipper, and then he proves himself that he's better at the express with Gordon, and he gets rebuilt into this new shape. And then he sneezes at some boys. Literally everything Henry does is amazing. He's like one of the best characters to come out of the whole series as well. I love him. And you can tell that he's like one of the. What's that theme? Oh, that's his theme. Henry's theme.
Oh, that's the Flying Kipper.
It's
Oh,
It's a
Flying
big-
Keeper.
a flying kipper theme.
I found it in the orchestra version.
You can keep talking about Henry while this plays.
I lower the volume a little bit because it's a little bit loud. Anyway, so I was saying about Henry.
How about you open up a little bit, then we'll talk about more about Henry.
Yeah, so I was saying about Henry. Henry is like one of the best characters, like I said, and he is like let's say like the one that you can prove that even if you're ill, you can still be a really useful engine.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's a very good character. He's a very good character, and it's a shame he got pulled out of the Steam team because of stupid Rebecca. Fuck you, Rebecca.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we'll get to that soon.
Yeah. Well,
We'll
one
get
thing
to-
I want to
we'll
add
get to
too is
Guava.
just like
We'll get to Guava.
I also like that like during the classic era too, you also get to see another side of Henry. Like I mentioned this when I did my season 3 review. But basically, it's nice to get to see, Henry's other side, like, his nature side and everything, loving, the forest and such. Again, I don't have too much to add, but, it's really nice to see, it's nice to see some of these characters do get, try to get, other traits outside of just, what we already know them from the Railway series up until this point. And some of them works really well, and Henry is a good example of it.
Indeed, it is. He is. Like, him and Edward are like the two best characters in the whole show. It's a shame they got taken out of the Steam team and blah blah, but that's another story for another day.
Alright. Well, we got two characters left. We got Gordon and we got Toby. So, who wants to take Gordon and who wants to take Toby?
I'll take Gordon.
Who wants to take Toby? Because I have something to say about Toby, but I'll leave it for last.
Huh?
Actually, we have 5 characters left. Cause
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
we
you know what? We do. Yeah, we do have Terrence and Birdie, too. You know what? You're right.
I want to talk about Birdie, because Birdie, I feel like, is one of those characters that people rarely talk about because they focus more on the engines than the road vehicles.
Yeah, that's true.
We should talk about Birdie.
Alright.
So, who should we talk about? Gordon?
In just a moment.
Who should we go first? Birdie. Here it is. Birdie. Birdie. I love Birdie. He's like he may seem like an asshole to you sometimes, but he has a very good friend. Like he's a very good friend to Thomas. And let's take a moment to admire his theme. His theme is one of the best of the whole series. I love that theme.
You know what? Have you guys seen that video where someone took the Birdie theme and mashed it together with the overworld for Super Mario Bros. 2?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was amazing.
Now basically every time
an-
I hear every time now that I hear Birdie's theme, I can't help but to also hum Super Mario Bros. 2 now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just that good. It's just that
it's
good.
that
now.
good.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you want to say something about Birdie, Zakoa?
Actually, I could talk about a little bit about both Birdie and Terrence because, like, there is something about the road vehicles that are a little bit interesting. Out of the two characters that have, out of the two road vehicles that have characters and such, I say Birdie has a little bit more of a character than Terrence does at times. The reason why I say that is because, again, Toy Barney has said, Birdie can sometimes be a little blunt and, likes to tease the engines that, roads are better than rails and such. But at the same time, like I said, as you see with, like, both, his friendship with Thomas and everything, that basically he does have, good respect for, both railways and the engines themselves, that he doesn't mind helping them out from time to time if they need help and such. And it's been proven in episodes like, Trust Thomas and such, that, that Thomas would also help Birdie if he actually does need help and everything. And with other episodes, too, like Better Late Than Never and everything.
Oh yeah, and excuse me, one more thing. Did I miss the character that I just missed a while ago because I was using the bathroom?
Which character?
Gordon.
Oh, Gordon? Do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Gordon? Go right ahead.
I have the perfect image for Gordon. Alright, here we go. Here we go.
Perfect.
Okay. About Gordon the Big Blue Engine, I think eventually Gordon is the fastest and strongest engine of all on the top of Pat's Railway. He can eventually pull like the extra Green Express coaches, and sometimes during around here in Series 6, he eventually also sometimes eventually pulled the Red Express coaches, and also also see him from Gordon, and also see him from Gordon takes takes a big tumble and everything else. also he was originally also proud to be on the top of Hats on Railway. Oh wait. And one more thing, and also he was over the same fast speed limit as Spencer as well too, which is the two of the engines were based off from the real life British engines such as like the Mallard and the Flying Scotsman. He was eventually like the same fast speed limit as well too, running like 40-50 miles per hour at the city of Truro that Gordon eventually went to be better than him. So he originally he eventually spun this down by the line in the tracks and goes very fast running down the express where Edward and Beth were on the top of the stage track. Which is seen from the series 3 episode Gordon and the famous visitor.
Yeah.
Is that all you'd like to talk about for Gordon?
Oh, and I'm also one
I
thing
do.
from the. Oh, okay. I'll go ahead,
I
Bonnie.
do.
Go ahead, Bonnie.
All right, so give me a second because I'm gonna do something real quick. Before I do, let me hold on a second. I'm trying to share something. A window. Let me share a window. I'm gonna share a window right now, and hopefully, I'm sharing the window. This is the slides I was making that I couldn't share because I was using my phone.
Oh yeah.
All right. So Gordon, in the classic era, I love Gordon. He's one of my favorite characters of the classic era as well, and the new series as well because he was one of the very few characters that wasn't repurposed for the new era. And I just like his personality. I don't have that much to say on Gordon. I just love his personality. I love that he has like very different cousins and brothers, and I also love that even if he's the oldest and the most fastest, he sometimes needs help, and he doesn't want to admit it.
Yeah, he definitely has, a big, amount of pride and such. But that's also, another reason that, like, there are some episodes, like, even with the pride and everything, again, he also has a big loyal side as well. That is definitely shown in, like, one of my favorite episodes in A New Era, where, I believe, I forget the name, but I do remember it was the one where, like, Gordon accidentally took, Henry's special coal and such, and basically, he saw basically how Henry, was, how bad Henry was feeling with the original coal, so rather than basically setting a new world record, he's just like, you know what, no, I'm gonna go help my friend. That was actually one of the best moments that Gordon could have ever done in that episode.
Yeah, I love that episode, believe it or not. That's one of the very few season 10 episodes I like for now. Yeah. I don't have that much to say on Gordon. Any other characters you guys want to talk about? Oh, let's talk about Toby. We haven't talked about Toby yet.
Alright, let me pull up an image of Toby.
Don't worry, I got Toby here, so don't worry. Let me.
Oh, never mind. Alright.
Hold on, let me find Toby here. Here it is, Toby.
Here he is.
There we go. There's Toby. Anyone want to talk about Toby?
I do.
Alright, go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
All right, Toby's deep trend. Now, okay, so now the reason why that I love Toby, he is originally the oldest and the fastest speed tram of all time on Top Hat Railway. When Top Hat had his wife and his children eventually were on vacation when they eventually first met Toby Steve Tram and Harriet and such in that condo. When Tom had kids in that condo, Nick eventually like a front of him. Yeah, brought up eventually like a fortunately though, and I like when how they eventually in the part though when Toby. Thank you.
Alright.
I was about to say something else, but the music is a little bit too loud.
Uh,
Is that better?
Wait, hold up. Turn it down a little bit more. Thank you. That's better.
Alright.
Okay. So, anyways, I like better how they eventually, Toby eventually, reached at them that he, thinks he is not a very good, steam tram, and eventually the children were, who was that eventually, with that old, square wheels and stuff, and then, of course, they thought Toby eventually got something very upset in that time. Yeah. That's
Is it electric?
Huh?
Is
Oh,
it
yeah,
electric?
Is it electric?
Is it electric?
Is it electric? Yes.
Whoosh.
Whoosh.
All right, Carter, you can be turn up back your music up.
Huh?
You can be turn up back your music up.
Let's appreciate Toby a little bit.
Alright. Two characters left, Terrence and Sir Topham Hatt. May I talk
Sir
about May I talk about
which
go
one?
ahead, Carter. Who did you want to talk about?
Terrence?
What do you want to talk about?
Terrence? Alright,
Alright, let me pull
yeah,
up
go ahead.
Terrence.
You can talk about Terrence.
Here we go.
One of the things I like about Terrence is that he was the first off-rail character, other than Sir Topham Hatt, of course, to appear in the TV series. And I
Also,
say
you
first
can go
because
to
Birdie
YouTube.
appeared one episode after him.
That's true.
And I don't know why he doesn't have any eyebrows in the classic series. I think they just forgot to add them on.
That's what I love about Terrence in the first two seasons that he didn't have eyebrows. I always loved that he didn't have eyebrows. That made him cool for me.
Honestly,
Combined
me
with
too.
too.
But at the same time, I found it kind of confusing. Because pretty much everyone on Sodor has eyebrows, so why doesn't Terrence?
And another thing that I find funny is that Terrence never actually got concerned or anything. He just had this smile that says, "Oh, you're talking shit about me? I don't care. Look, I'm smiling."
Basically, yeah. I'm kind of surprised he has no emotions. Out of all the other characters, they have different emotions. Terrence is just like I'm always just smiling.
Yep, with no surprise face.
That's
or
one of the
no sad face
That's
or
one of the
anything
other
else.
things I like about Terrence is that behind the scenes he actually has some different faces, but they always just use this smiling one. I can just imagine Sir Topham Hatt saying that Terrence is going to be scrapped, and he would just be like, "I don't care, do it, scrap me."
Yeah.
I will always live on another day. I can never die.
I will never
Yeah.
die. I will always live on in the
One of the
hearts
points,
children.
one of the points that I want to ask Sakoa about is that I was watching a season 1 video prior to this stream, and I was watching his review on Thomas Terrence in the Snow, and he didn't have that much good things to say about Terrence. Why is that?
Basically, I guess, I never really, this is something I always realized as a kid, but, I just kind of felt out of all the other characters, Terrence doesn't have that much for me to make him, stand out character-wise. I mean, model-wise, like you said, I only remember him as a kid because of his model and such, and basically, his model and his theme. When I really get down to it, the only thing I can say about Terrence that he does have a character is that, like you say, apparently, he never lets anything, get him down and such. Like, even when people, or engines think, like I said, he looks too different. He can't do anything. He proves them wrong and such and everything. Like, he proves Thomas wrong and such when he needed to get help, get out of the snow and everything. But that's really about it because, like, at the rest of the other seasons, like, you really don't get to see. I mean, you see Terrence a little bit, but not enough for you to make for him to leave a lasting impression on you in terms of like an actual character.
Hey guys, read this. CJM on the chat. CJM says Terrence has no eyebrows, but it looks like he has some hair.
True. So true.
Maybe that's where his eyebrows were originally. Maybe the eyebrows were the hair all along.
Maybe not.
Anyways, that's really all I want to say about Terrence. Who wants to talk about the man himself, Sir Topham Hatt?
AKA the Fat Controller, AKA the Dictator.
The bad news is that I didn't make a slide for Sir Topham Hatt because I thought we were not going to talk about him on this stream. But I have a couple of images I can share with you guys about Sir Topham Hatt. So yeah, take it away.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything will work.
But I would eventually love to talk about Sir Topham Hatt.
Let's Carter, you can go first, and then we'll go with James, and then Seko and I can go last.
Yeah.
Who's going to talk about Sir Topham Hatt first?
I do.
All
right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, James.
So
Okay.
I think Sir Topham Hatt is basically your everyday kind of
he's basically your everyday kind of man and such. Like, he has a job, he has a wife, he has grandchildren, he has children and such. So he's basically your everyday kind of man.
He goes out sometimes, and when the engines cause confusion and delay, it's always Sir Topham Hatt that they look to to get help from.
And also one more thing of the Sir Topham Hatt picture right there, that looked exactly a lot like the cartoon pictures from the Japanese artwork.
I use the Japanese artwork because I love what the Japanese do to Thomas.
Too.
Like Thomas is like extremely popular in Japan. Like they make everything.
Well, actually makes sense too because, like, from what I understand, like, for in Japan, trains are everything to Japan and such. So it makes sense. I like, why a show like Thomas would be very popular in Japan.
Yeah.
And one of the other things I like about Sir Topham Hatt is that sometimes he really just loses his hat to like a ram or some steam.
Or basically it gets blown away.
Like he loses his hat to some of like the most unexpected things you wouldn't expect to lose a hat to.
Which actually makes me wonder, like, is he one of those people that just has, like, multiple spare hats in his closet because he knows he always loses it every single time?
Probably.
I know, right?
I mean, it did show some spare hats in it did show some spare hats in Thomas and the Royal Engine, so maybe that's where he got all his new hats from.
And also when James really sped the engine, I like how they eventually the lyrics when they close it said, "Hey, good night." It goes like hang on and hold on to your hats and whoosh this hat. Yeah, like that. And
Yeah.
Song from James the next in Series 6. Yep.
Anyway,
okay.
that's all I really want to come at.
I want to go with Sir Topham Hatt. We don't really see that much of him in the classic era, other than give the engines jobs and answering some questions the engines have. But one example I want to bring up is Lady Hatt's birthday party, where he's trying to get to the party as clean as possible, but he ends up getting dirty. I love that episode because I love seeing an episode dedicated to Sir Topham Hatt. Plus Alec Baldwin narrating that episode with the I have to attend my wife's birthday party and I cannot be late. Please give me a lift. Or or bother, and in the end he gets to the birthday party clean. And he gets to the birthday party in the end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Another
He'll do
example I want to bring up
I'll
is
be a fireman.
He's
go ahead, Carter.
he is literally a decade man. He did whatever it took to get to his wife's birthday party.
Yeah,
And that's
he
some
climbed
serious
on to.
dedication.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta admire him for that.
Another example I want to bring up is Sir Top Hat's Holiday, where we have an episode dedicated to his family, and they go on vacation. I just love seeing him have a vacation with his family, and it's like interesting to see him away from the railway and spend time with his grandchildren and his wife. It's like amazing.
Yeah.
And who remembers the what was that?
I love that part. When talking about
I love that part as well. It's hilarious.
And then the classic bother.
No, it's like, oh, bother, Richard. We're stuck. And they were.
Bother.
Alec Baldwin, the narrator, I can tell, he's a funny guy that I could eventually harmony can tell imagine. Though he was a really good movie actor and a TV show guy.
I've never seen too much of Alec Baldwin's movies and such, but I did basically grew up with his narrations as a kid, so I do have a bias towards him and such. Even if I will admit some of his narrations not that good, I still think he did a good job. But again, we'll get to him later when we get to those seasons.
Season 5, yeah. I think that's pretty much it for the characters. Now let's move on to the directing because I think we've been on for a little bit too long.
Yeah, to be fair, I do have to get going pretty soon at around 30 minutes for now because I do have somewhere I need to go to tomorrow. So all right, yeah, we'll talk about the directing, we'll talk about the music, and yeah. So all right, who wants to talk about directing?
Oh,
you do it.
What, me? Alrighty.
You do it to me.
Alrighty. Alright, so for directing for season 1 and the sets for season 1, like I said, these sets are still pretty good, both at the time and even today, like, there are some moments, in the episodes where the sets really do shine the most and such. Like I said, I do like the episodes where we do get, basically a tour around, Sordor and such, We get to see Thomas's branch line for the first time, we get to see Gordon's Hill for the first time, Henry's Tunnel and such and everything. The directing was really spot on, for the first season and everything. Like, David Midden did a good job to make you feel like, you were almost on an actual railway and such. Like, this was a railway that, you wanted to visit it yourself as a kid just to, take a ride around and see all, the beautiful sights and everything, He did a really amazing job to, bring this series to life and such. I really can't say much more, because, like, I guess the only negative thing I could say is that, like, there are some moments where you could tell the sets, it's a little dated and such, here and there and everything. And even seeing, in the HD classics, you do get to see, some of the, amateur mistakes here and there, but it doesn't really ruin the season overall for me. To me, like I said, the directing really does shine in this season, and it still holds up to this day. I could gladly admit to that. Is there anything you guys want to add to it, or?
Yeah.
Ooh, I won? Yeah, go ahead.
Go right ahead.
I think the directing this season still holds up better than the episodes itself, in my opinion, because like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the first half of season 1. But in terms of the directing, for this being the first season, it's incredible. Like they put so much effort into the whole sets, and even this little detail that wasn't gonna be seen, they added it because it still holds up like 37 years later. Like even the smallest detail shines, and I think David Bennett is a great director. Without him, I don't think the show would have been good. Without him, I don't think it would have been good, because if we had a different director, it would have been like, let's just get the series done. We get the season done, and then boom, we're there. But with a director with a charisma like David Midden, he took the show to a whole new level. He brought it. He made it so realistic with his team.
Yeah.
He did. You really did. All right. Well,
Indeed.
that's all for. Is that all for directing, or does anyone want to chime in with something?
Hold on.
Not
before,
really.
One more.
before we move on, we're having an issue again with Google Meet.
Yeah.
Look
All
at
right. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this should be the last
Hang on,
time. Again, we'll be
hold
right
on.
back, folks.
Yep, we'll be back.
Alrighty, we're
So
back
as I was
again,
saying-
everybody. Hopefully, this should be the last time.
Hello.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
doubt
Google-
it, but we'll see how we do. Oh,
Yeah. Well, this should be the last time.
Yeah.
It's like I said, the only thing we got two more things left. We got the music, we got the narrators, and then after that,
What
it's
about
just
the-
our final thoughts on season 1.
what about the episodes?
Yeah, let's try.
Technically,
talked about
so
it.
we were gonna do all the episodes, but we figured it probably would be better if we all just talk about our own favorite episodes themselves and everything. That way, we don't make the stream drag out for too long and such.
Yeah.
So, technically, we did. Technically, we did talk about our favorite episodes and such. So the episodes were all good.
Yeah.
Maybe we could review all the episodes in a Zoom meeting.
All right. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what we could do. We'll see
Yeah.
what we could think of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go through every episode because, I feel it's better we go through every single episode, and then we can stop and talk about a particular part that we liked in an episode or something like that. Like, let's say, Percy and Harold or something like that. Yeah.
Alrighty. We'll think of some. We'll think of something next time. Then when we do this series
Sorry
again.
about that, you guys. I hung up by accident.
It's okay. I already said about the directing. I think we should move to the music.
Alrighty.
Oh,
Who wants to talk about the music then?
Ooh, I do.
I'll go. I'll do
All right.
that.
Go ahead, James.
Go ahead, James. Go ahead,
Alright.
James. I'll find my laptop charger meanwhile.
Oh, okay. So about the music that Michael Donovan and Jimmy Campbell made had turned out into a great, fantastic musical journey ride of all time. Though the Thomas's theme sounded beautiful, Henry's theme, Gordon's theme, James's theme, Edward's theme, they sounded eventually a lot like a musical. Even they done amazing jobs with the song from series 3 through 4 and 5 as well too. And even for the every clown when there's a silver lining, I like how they eventually mixed up with Bill and Ben's theme and turned this up into a fantastic theatrical orchestra musical number to this song.
That is pretty impressive for them to do. Just basically, take a look at their characters' themes, and they're just basically all right, well, what kind of songs can we make out of it? And as you said, some of them turn out fantastic.
Yep. And even for the same thing with Donald Duck's theme, sounded pretty awesome too.
It is.
Yeah, it sounded so relaxing and chilling for this production.
It is.
Michael Donovan and Ed Welch done an amazing job with these musical number songs, man. I can tell.
They do.
Yeah. As I want to go next with the music, because music is my thing.
Sure. Go
All right,
ahead.
so the music in season 1 for this being the first season, and everything is getting in place. It's I can describe it with one word: perfect. The music, the gods of children's music know how to start a series. They did an amazing job with this season with all the character themes. Shame we didn't have any songs, but it's the first season,
Yeah,
so
from
we gotta
series
get
one,
everything out
though.
the way. Yeah, so I feel that they didn't do a bad job in here, and everything they did in this season was gold with the music. Even the Runaway theme was pretty catchy. So for season 1, I give them a thumbs up. They did a good job. So
Me
Tim,
too.
what do you think about? I mean, Sakoa, what do you think about the music?
I mean, you guys pretty much already said the same thing I've said when I first reviewed the show and such. The music is still real good. The themes again are still these are classic and memorable themes for a reason and such. They really find the perfect melody, the perfect pinch to match each of the engines, their traits, and their characters. And again, with their music and such, they really added a lot to the story, make them sound alive and such. I really can't add anything else to this. So again, I do agree. Yeah, the two thumbs up for Mike and Junior's themes. Yeah, basically just their music overall for the show.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
They done an
So
amazing
let's.
job turning that
So
into a
Carter,
banger.
you want to say something about the music, or you want to move on to the
I
narrators?
I honestly don't think I can say anything that hasn't already been said. The music is great. Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell did a great job, and yeah.
All right.
Alrighty.
So let's move on to the narrators.
All right.
Alright,
Oh,
well,
go
we
ahead.
got two narrators to talk
I'll go.
about. We got the original former Beatles drummer, but still a drummer, Ringo Starr.
I said
So,
yes,
I'll do it.
and I said no.
And then we got the 1990 VHS. Well,
basically later, later in the 1990s,
the
he was playing.
1990 VHS narrator George Carlin.
Yes,
I'll go with,
everyone's foul mouth American comedian.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll do. I'll
Dirty
start with the
mouth
narrators.
guy.
Alrighty.
I'll start with the narrators. All right. So I'm
Alright.
gonna start with Ringo, then I'm gonna go with George Carlin. All right, Ringo Starr. Oh boy, let's talk about him first. I'm not a fan of his narration in season one. I'm sorry. I just can't stand his narration. He was so boring in some episodes. It's like with the engine's name was Henry. It's rather than fireman ugly with him. It's like he's like bored. He's like bored throughout the entire season. I think he was in his peak. I think it was season two, but season one, yeah, his narration is and boring in some parts. Now Carlin, on the other hand, he destroys Ringo in season one. He brought he brought the energy back. He brought the energy to season one. And with George Carlin, I feel like season one is a better season with Carlin as narration, because with Carlin he brought back a lot of energy to the episodes that was needed after Ringo was. Huh? Go ahead, Carter.
Still whistling. Help! Help! Poor James disappeared.
Yeah, that's an example. Carlin brought back energy to some parts where the episodes needed energy, like that, like the help, and whereas Ringo did like help,
He got
help. Like
so
there was
much
there
energy.
wasn't there was no energy. There was no energy in his
Help.
season one narration.
Help, help,
Once again,
But
once-
come on,
oh,
Ringo. Get some energy to it.
At least I will say though, but I'll say this till we get to season two. I think he did a better job in season two than he did in season one, and I'm sure we all can agree on that.
Yeah.
You do definitely see improvements from season two, and even with his re-narrating that he did for the Shiny Time Station show and such.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
I haven't listened to those narrations, but I will check them out just to, and I'll take your guys' word for it. All right, so who wants to go next on the narrators?
Mm-hmm.
First
Who
come,
wants to
first
go
serve.
next?
Who wants to go next?
Ooh, I want to go.
All right, go ahead, James.
All right, James, go ahead.
So, Ringo Starr, the Beatle member of the drummer. You know the song, let's shake it, no baby, now shake it, no baby, twist and shout. Yeah. The song by the Beatles, Twist and Shout. About Ringo Starr's narration, though, it sounded eventually like a little bit boring, though, unfortunately, throughout his whole entire thing of his narration. But I think he done like a good job. Yeah, though, narrating the first Thomas and Friends, the TV series episodes, though, like he needs like more energy to eventually to keep on going with this story up in that time, and to eventually to make this like a great TV series, great such wonderful blast. narration. Like George Carlin though eventually got like so much energy. I could eventually harmony could tell throughout this the whole entire thing, the narration from series 1 and 2. I noticed, which is he got a lot of energy and stuff. And so does Michelangelo's too from series 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, which is he got lots of energy though in that time though. and like Rango should eventually drink some coffee for a change and wake him up a little bit. Yeah, though in that time though, so they could eventually carry on the story and the end, the next line, and then turn around here in the script. That's
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty. Alright. Well, I'll go last for the narration. So, Carter, is there anything you want to
Carter,
say
you wanna
about
say
the
about the
narrators and
narration?
such? Carter?
There we go. Here it is.
Hey.
Yeah.
Is there-
Ringo Starr's narration was kind of boring in season 1. In season 2, he got a bit better, but yeah. George Carlin, on the other hand, is amazing.
He destroys Ringo. I said it. He destroys Ringo.
Literally. Oh my god. I cannot even describe how amazing his narration is.
I wonder how many people in the chat are saying who's better, Ringo or George. I'm kind of a little curious.
Let me check the chat. Keep explaining, Carter.
Ringo's better. No, George Carlin is. No, Ringo is.
I think I prefer Rango and George's. Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Yeah.
the chat is pretty chill. There's not a fight between Carlin and Ringo. No,
Well, I
the
mean,
chat's pretty chill.
well,
so
I mean,
don't-
I mean, I don't need an epic battle or anything like that. I'm just more yeah, I'm just more I'm wondering who prefers what narrations and such.
All right, so
I'm gonna read a little bit. I'm gonna read a little bit. All right. So Joshua V says George Carlin's my favorite, and CJM says that as a kid he liked Carlin a lot, and Abid 680513 says Michelangelo's is my favorite narrator from Thomas and Friends.
Okay.
So yeah, different opinions on the chat.
Yeah.
Sokoa, would you like to talk about the narrators?
Alrighty,
Of course.
Alright, here we go. Narration. Alright, so if you guys remember when I, first did season 1, I only talked about Ringo Starr first. I didn't talk about George Carlin just yet because, I wanted to wait till we get to season 3 because technically that's when, he first, narrated Thomas for the US and such. Because back then Ringo was also the narrator for, most of season 1, which, fun fact, there's only one episode he did not narrate from season 1, which was Whistles and Sneezes. It's pretty interesting.
I always wonder why he didn't.
I didn't eventually realize that he skipped that episode.
I think it's either because like I said, I think it's just more that Britt and the writers, were probably trying to pick, which Thomas episodes were available at the time and which ones would be perfect, for an upcoming episode on Shiny Time Station. Because I know after Trouble in the Shed and after Percy Runs Away, that's when they started airing the episodes out of order and such, which which I can imagine confused a lot of American kids at the time when Thomas first came to the States and such, but that's neither here or there. Anyway, so alright, so basically I'll talk about Ringo Starr then. I did not grow up with Ringo Starr's narration that much. The only 2 VHSs I had where Ringo Starr did narrate it was The Best of Percy, where he narrated Percy Takes a Plunge, and I also had James Learns a Lesson and such, which basically had, all his narrations from James Learns a Lesson to Thomas and Bertie's Great Race. From what I did remember of Ringo Starr as a kid, I didn't find him to be that bad, to be honest. When I was a kid, I thought it was I thought he was all right. Although I will admit, the tone of voice and everything was a lot different than what I was used to from both Alec Baldwin and George Carlin at the time. But I didn't outright, hate it and such. And after watching season one, again, both the UK and even his re-narration for the US, I do see where people are coming from, where, like, where basically, yeah, he might sound, monotone and boring at times and everything, and sometimes it does feel like he's not, trying and such. But at the same time, there are also other moments where, like, where like, I could tell, he's at least, enjoying, his job at certain points. Like, there are some certain points where, where he does, need to yell, like, with, in the episode Whistles and Sneezes, whereas the Fat Controller, he says, take him away and stop that noise. I
remember that.
yeah, I thought he did really well in delivering that line in season one, and there were also a couple there were also a couple of other episodes where he does shine, and again brings brings out the characters and some of the stories, like like Henry Special Cole, or like Thomas and the Trucks, or Thomas and Birdie's Great Race and all that. Again, there are some moments where he does shine, and in season two, he does do a lot better in, like, terms of his narrations and everything. I mentioned this with Toy Bonnie and such, but depending on your different narrations, it's just basically depending on, like, basically how, how you like the show and everything. Like, do you prefer Ringo Starr, where, like, the show is a bit more, relaxing, monotone, it's not, too over the top to where, you can enjoy it? Or do you want, George Carlin's narration, where he brings, where he brings different voices to the engines and such, and he brings lots of energy and lots of, entertainment and such, that you're having fun, with the show and such.
I said in my season 3 review that I preferred George Carlin over, when I was a little kid, I refused to listen to anybody that wasn't Carlin or Michael Brandon. But George Carlin was my narrator growing up. I can remember I had the most DVDs that had his narration more than Brandon.
It was George Carlin, Alec Baldwin, and Michael Brandon that I grew up with the most when I started watching Thomas. And I was just like you, at first I was not used to Angelus at all and such, so I basically kind of refused to watch any episode with his narrations. But like I said, now that I've reviewed all the seasons and watched both the UK and the US versions and such, I have started to grow a more fondness towards Michael Angelis. And again, I have seen, I do understand why some people love his narrations and such. But basically, yeah. For Ringo, he does a decent job in season one. Was he the greatest? No, definitely not. But at the same time, I think Britt did pick a good first choice as, like, a narrator to start off with for the show. George Carlin, like I said,
I will say this.
Go right ahead.
I will say this. I take Ringo over Baldwin season 6 narration. God, was that terrible.
Again, we'll get to that when we get to season 6. So George Carlin. Again, I grew up with George Carlin the most when it came to watching the show, and he's still a really good narrator for the show and everything. There's a reason why American kids loved him and such when he first came on and everything. Like I said, he brought a lot of personality to the show, especially with the engines and such. Giving them different voices and such to match their personality and such. He really brought the show to light and such, as when he first came on at Shining Time Station and everything. And some of these episodes, again, he does bring a lot of entertainment value to the show and such.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some episodes where I do prefer Ringo a little bit over to George, but at the same time, George's narration is still real good. I can still listen to episodes like, Thomas and Birdie with his narration, or Percy Runs Away, or James in a Mess, and he still brings, the best performance out of the whole entire show. So if I did have to pick which one I would probably listen to the most, that's kind of a tough choice, to be honest. I guess I would go with George Carlin a little bit more, just because, again, I'm a little bit more biased. But at the same time, I would not mind, sitting down and listening to Ringo Starr's narrations either, because, like I said, when he does do a good job, he does do a real good job on the show, so I do have to give him major props for it. Alrighty. All right. Is there anything else, or should we wrap it up here? Because, like I said, I do have to get somewhere pretty soon, so it's up to you.
Oh, okay. One last question, then we'll go.
I'd say we'll wrap it up with the season rating
Uh,
overall.
Yeah, we
Alrighty,
should
so
wrap it up.
all right, so who
Yeah,
wants
we
to go
should.
first? Who wants to go first and saying what they think of season 1 overall?
I
I'll
would
do
like
it.
I would
I'll
like
do
to
it.
go first.
All right, go ahead, Carter.
All right, go ahead.
So season 1. What do I think of it overall? I give it a 9 out of 10. It would have been a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for the sad story of Henry.
Oh, you don't like that episode that much?
Yeah, because just like take a guess why I just don't like that episode that much.
Because
Oh,
of the
I know,
punishment that
I
Henry
know.
gets.
3 times that they try to pull him out 3 times and he still stays there. Yeah, I understand that is annoying at times. If you I when I first saw that episode, I was like, why is he not moving? Why is he not moving? Get out of the fucking tunnel.
No, no.
Yeah.
I know this doesn't have anything to do with season 1, but it's because the Reverend W. Audrey originally intended for Henry to stay in the tunnel pretty much forever.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
that's
and then
correct.
basically his publishers were just like, no, how about you write a happy ending for this character?
Yeah.
I think that's the only reason why I don't like this episode, because of Reverend's decision.
I can see that, yeah.
If Reverend decided to make a 4th
Yeah.
story himself, this season would be a 10 out of 10 for me.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, understandable.
Anyways, who would like to go next?
I would.
I do.
I would.
Okay. Go ahead. Lonnie.
All right. All right. So in my original season 1 video that I did back in 2018, and a few days before my 15th birthday, I gave the season a good season rating. But looking back at it now, it's still a good season. Don't get me wrong. But I wish if I could go back in time, I would have re-reviewed the season, and there will be a couple of episodes that will get either a light, good rating or weak rating. But as it stands, I still like season 1. It's a very good introductory season. While it may have not aged well for me because I'm more of a I'm a fan of like so let's say SpongeBob season 1, for example, that the episodes are still good after like a lot of walkthroughs. That is not the same for Thomas season 1 because I've seen those stories told millions of times already that I'm a little bit sick of them. But the second half of season 1 I don't mind because I love those episodes so much. But as it stands, if I had to rate the season with numbers, I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Alright.
Oh, wait, did I forget to state like my blank season thing?
Huh?
Like, good week, whatever.
Oh. If you want to do numbers, if you want to do good week, it doesn't really matter to us. Like, whatever rating you want
It
to use
doesn't
is
matter.
fine by
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Use whatever rating you want.
Yeah,
It
for
doesn't
me,
matter.
9 out of 10 means it is a great season.
All right.
All right, so that's good.
All right, James, go ahead. What's your overall thoughts on season 1?
Take it away,
I
James.
think. Oh yeah. Okay. So I think. When I was little, when I was watching the Thomas Gets Tricked on DVD, I think one of the series 1 episodes looked very awesome to me, and Ringo Starr's narration looks good, and all the episodes, and David Mitton, Brett Allcroft, Michael Donald Jr. Campbell for the music, all the crew members, and the directing, and the story writers, the Railway series books based off from the Reverend W. Audrey had eventually drawn the books and also written the books as well too, and especially Christopher Audrey as well too. And also, I give series 1 a double thumbs up for all stars of 10.
Alrighty. All right. Well, I guess.
If I had to make a new rating system, I would say I give season one 4.5, 4.5 out of 5 chopsticks. Yum yum.
Yum.
Alrighty. Alright, well, oh, that's just use me then. Alright, so like I said, before, my opinions on season 1 has not changed. I still think it's a real good season to, start off the show. It was a good season to introduce us to the characters, to the world, to basically show the kids that, like, again, these stories, we can make a TV series out of them, and again, it worked out real well in the end and such. The episodes are still simple, they're still memorable, the characters are still memorable, the songs, again, they're really the classics for a reason. The directing was still good.
The series are also rememberable too.
It was. It was. It's still rememberable to this day. Again, the narration, again, for both Ringo and George were spectacular. For my rating on this season, I'm still giving it a... I'm still gonna give it actually, yeah, I think I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for a good season and such. It's still a really good season. Again, it might be too simple for some and everything, but at the same time, being simple doesn't mean it's automatically bad and such. And again, as simple as it is, it's still real good. It finds a good balance of being simple but not being too boring or anything like that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I think that will do it for this live stream. So I hope Carter, James, I hope you two have enjoyed yourselves on this series. Thank you so much for coming over to doing this with us.
Thank you, I appreciate it, Timmy, and also I can't wait for the next Thomas the Prank review when it comes up.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for series 2.
Alright, well, if you guys in the chat also like this, live stream, if you guys want to see more, let us know. Like I said, we'll probably do these maybe like, once a month or so. And if you guys also want us to review, so here's what I was thinking. If you guys do want us to, also re-review all the episodes again, what I think what we can do is that, like, we'll each pick, one episode, one episode to review, like, out of all 26. So let's say there's an episode that, one of us like, that if we want to talk about it, we can talk about it. If anyone wants to add something to it, or anyone, has a different opinion, can go ahead and speak. If not, then we'll just, move on to the next episode, and we'll just review, all 26 episodes. So basically, one person can speak about, one episode. If anyone wants to add anything, they can. If not, then the next person will speak about the next episode. Will that work for all of us?
Yes,
It'll
absolutely.
work for me.
Alrighty. Alright. So again, if you guys do want us to, re-review all the episodes again as well too, let us know. We'll all think about it. So if we do, maybe we might. Maybe we might do it with season 2, or we might do it with season 1. Who knows? So, yeah, go ahead. Someone was going to speak.
Yeah. And also I'll be here on the Google Meet, and I'm always be available for the next video for the review of this season.
Series 2.
Yes.
Yep. Series 2.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, yes, of course. Alrighty, so again, thank you to everyone that's joining on the live stream. Say thanks to our special guest that's, but join us on the stream. Again, if you guys like it, we'll do more. We'll do more every month and such. Maybe we might also do this with other TV shows or movies. We'll see. But yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this stream, don't forget to hit the like button and such. And again, I'll try my best to, Toy Bonnie and I will try our best to get this out on our co-op channel, the Review Bros. So again, if you're not subscribed to the Review Bros yet, make sure you do, because this is where the stream is going to end up and such. Basically where all the other streams are going to end up as well. So again, make sure you're subscribed to it.
Thank you for watching.
Yes, and also don't forget to check out
my channel. Comment, like, and subscribe.
Yes, don't forget to check out not only my main channel as well as my gaming channel. If you guys like Let's Plays and such, check out all the other channels like Toy Bonnie's channel, James's channel, Carter's channels. Again, make sure you check them out as well. We'll make sure we'll post,
Yep.
links in the description once we upload this video and such. Subscribe to all of them as well. And again, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all next month on the next Thomas and Friends retrospective stream. So until then,
Or
take care,
series
everybody.
2.
Till then, peace out, y'all.
Everyone have a good day.
Have a
Bye.
good day,
Have a good
everyone.
day.
Have a good rest of your summer break.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.